welcome in, folks, to another great episode of I've Got a Theory with Henish. Today, my guest is my friend Noa Schecter, who's a leadership and executive coach and well-respected author. Fortunate to know her, and I'm happy to have her on the show. Welcome to the show, Noa.
Thank you. I'm very glad to be here. Thank you for having me here. And I'm
Yeah.
excited to share my message.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously you do a lot of personal and business development for people in small groups or individually, and you have a theory that kind of aligns with that, correct? Because you have some beliefs and strategies that you like to use to get the most out of people and to have people live their most fulfilling lives, something to that effect, right?
Right.
So tell me more. Tell me what your theory is.
Okay. My theory is like this. Remember the number three?
Okay.
3 steps for success. So what is the 3 steps for success? And I'm going to use quite a few acronyms today. Why? Because if you're driving right now and listening to me, it's like, oh my God, I got to write it down. Don't worry about it. Just remember the acronyms. So here's the acronyms, and then I'll explain to you what does this mean. We're going to 3 steps. Step 1, CC, 2 C's, right? Step 2, AAA. We're all using AAA. Step 3 is going to be CYS. CYS. Okay, let's start with the first CC. We have a tendency, what is the first CC? Catch and change. What is the catch and change? We have a tendency, we have about, 60,000, 80,000 thoughts per day. Okay, around these 60 to 80,000 thoughts per day, 80% of these thoughts are negative. So just imagine you're walking every day and just imagine and start paying attention. 80% of what you think right now is negative.
Really?
Okay?
Why is that the case, do you think?
Because it's our brain. Our brain is supposed to protect us from the enemy.
So it's a defense mechanism.
Defense mechanism. We were born like that. Guys, there's nothing wrong with it because this is our defense mechanism. We're born with it from ancient time, like to see the enemy in every corner. However, we don't have enemies anymore. We may have, but not 80% of the time. Now, here's something else that's going to amaze you, Henish. 90% of these 80% thoughts are the same thoughts. So just imagine you have like, let's say 10 negative thoughts, and these are repeatable throughout the day. And you're convincing yourself like, why not? Why should
so thoughts like I can't do it, or I'm not worthy, or there's no work out there, or I never have any good luck, things like that.
Right. Think about the situation today. How many under the COVID-19, how many people are like freaking out, losing it?
Sure. So to remind people that we're recording on the 13th of July, and the situation is that California has just re-locked down the state.
Right. And now something else, guys. It's not about the COVID-19. I've been saying it all the time. If you won't have the COVID, we're going to have something else. You're going to have it at your work. You're going to have it in your personal life, your kids, your wife, your mother, your father. There's always this negative thought. So the CC, it means catch that thought and change it.
I'm assuming you teach people techniques to identify when they're thinking negative thoughts?
Absolutely. But if you want to learn these techniques, spend a day with me.
Yeah, you need to spend a little more time. We're not going to cover that in this podcast, but effectively you teach techniques to catch people thinking bad thoughts, and then you can help them change it. And this is something that you're going to have to train someone on, because this is a habit that takes, and it takes time to change, to create a good habit and get rid of a bad one, right?
Right. And thank you for talking about bad habits. People say, 21 days to change habit. Let me tell you something about this. Not true. Because it's very individual. Some people need 90 days. Some people need a week. Some people do need 21 days. Some people need 30 days. It's very personalized for each person. It's also depends like how strong is the pain. God forbid someone has, about to get a cancer or has a cancer, and the doctor say you got to stop smoking. That person maybe take the cigarette and throw it away that moment. But I know a person that had an emphysema, and until his last day, he said, heck with it, I'm going to die. I'm just going to enjoy life and continue to smoke. So that's what I say. It's very individual.
Of course, but saying something like that gave someone an ability to write a book or sell a marketing program or a coaching program, right? By doing that, saying 21 days to change or something like that. Anyways, let's move on. Okay, so the first one is catch and change. So catch your bad behavior and then change it, or catch your bad thought and behavior.
And behavior, yes. And the second one is the triple A, three A's. What is the triple A technique? First of all, look at the situation and accept it with no emotion. Like what we're going right now, it's any issue. Could be at work, could be at your wife, with the kids, with your boss. It doesn't matter what is the situation. Accept it. You're not happy, accept it. There's something going on in the world, accept it with no emotion. And after you accept it, black and white, this is what's going on in my life right now. Now you're starting to assess. When you're assessing it, you need to understand what's going on right now. What is my power? Okay. Your boss told you, or there's no more job for you. Assess what is your gift? What can you do? What have you done? And then assess is also creating your plan. What can I do right now? And start having a plan for how to move forward. And the third A, act. Because here's the problem. Some people accept and they start acting. Wait a minute, stop. Don't go into an action before you know what is there for you. Unless you're in the forest, there's a real threat and there's a lion in front of you and you need to act right away. You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But in real life, take time for the assessment. Also act, taking an action without assessing and without accepting, guess what? You're now acting out of emotion, and not always you're going to do the right decision. So that's the AAA.
Yeah, and I see this happen often because I used to volunteer with my community a lot for approving new developments that came through. And there's no shortage of neighbors that never want the house next to them to be demolished and rebuilt into something bigger, right? Which is common in California, especially in the coastal areas where original houses were 1,000 or 1,500 square feet, and now people are tearing them down and building 3,000 to 10,000 square feet, or who knows. And so, yeah, I've had to have that conversation with people. I was like, look, by city code, they're allowed to do this, right? So please accept it, like you're saying. And now you can assess, like, the neighbor wants to work with you. So if you have some specific requests, then let's work with that out, because not building it isn't an option anymore. They're building it, but if you want some special favors or a special type of fence that goes up in between you guys, let's work something out, right? And so now you can act on it, because you can sit on your hand and say, I don't accept this and I don't want change, but that doesn't solve the problem, right? That won't change it for them, because it's still going to get built, right?
That continue to stir the problem. Here's what people do. People hire attorneys, right? People talk about it all day long. They share it with their friends, neighbor, family, and they stir the pot. And guess what? They don't understand. They're the one that's going to be hurt.
Right.
Because stress is something that affects you in so many layers, okay? It's going to affect your relationship. It's going to affect your income. It's going to affect your health. Do you really need it? Here's something I tell people. If this is something that's bothering you right now, why don't you do that? Imagine 5 years from now, where you're going to be in your life, and like, are you going to feel the same? You're going to have the same roller coaster emotion in your life 5 years from now about your neighbor? Or maybe this is the last day of your life. And, people said when people like facing a major danger and they're about to die, all of a sudden they see their life like in a minute, right? Yep. So what I'm saying is, or they're sick, they're about to decease, and they move on from a transition from this world, and they look at your life. Are you really going to be like that? It's like, wow, I had all these fights with my neighbor. Is this really worth it? Or fight with family. Is this really worth it when you're about to leave? So always think about the future and try, it's like on a timeline. Go into the future, go back and and look back. Is it really important? There's so many things to be worried about our life. When the ones that are not that important, eliminate it.
Yep. Okay. Step 3.
Celebrate your success.
Okay.
Celebrate your success. And why am I saying it? Here's the problem. People in our life, all of us, we are moving, running. And then if you don't celebrate your success and you don't take a break, this is you acknowledging something that you did, and okay, I'm done. I'm now moving to the next step. That's why there is graduation, right? Yeah. We need to acknowledge, and that's why people getting married or celebrating, I don't know, a birthday. Or we need to acknowledge our accomplishment for something. And now celebrating doesn't mean I'm going to go out on a spree and a shopping spree. I'm going to go on a, I don't know, tour to Europe. When I'm saying it, celebrating could be something small, like I had this project to do, it's on my desk, right? And I really had to do it. I did it, even though I pushed myself to do it. So guess what? You say to yourself later, I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a walk. I'm going to watch my TV show for like 20 minutes, half an hour. This is me acknowledging my success. Very important.
It's interesting. I feel like I don't do that enough for myself. I try to be aware of that. So I do it for others in my life. But I spend very little effort celebrating my own successes.
Well, are you open for suggestion? And
Let's
here's
hear
my
it.
suggestion
Yeah.
to you.
So, so for example, like I sell an expensive house, or I close an important business deal, so, or it's my anniversary, like I try to do something for my wife, but I never like celebrate something for myself as an important accomplishment that I've done. What do you recommend?
Okay. First of all, I have a journal. I created this journal, by the way, called Momentum Journal, The Road to Mastery. And then in this journal, I really tell people, celebrate your success every day by the end of the day. Give yourself acknowledgement, then celebrate your weekly and monthly, okay? And why do we do it? It's like, wow, this day, it helps you also when you're going through the day, you're like, at the end of the day, how many of us walk around thinking, oh my God, I'm not enough. Oh my God, I have so much to do. Do you know why? Because people are focused usually on the 20%. You heard about the 80-20 rules, right?
Yeah.
People
Yes.
are focused on the 20% that they didn't do. And they think that this day was bad because I still have 20% to do.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, what happened
Yeah.
to the 80%? So celebrating and have a bank of celebration, like ABC group, like this is the small one. By the end of the day, I may do breathing. I may write myself a letter. I may acknowledge myself. I may share it with my wife. We may have a drink and I'll tell her about my success. It doesn't matter. Have a bank on celebration. Now, maybe have something bigger for the weekend, and it could be I'm going with my friend for hiking. But the acknowledgement is very important. And maybe by the end of the year, if you achieve your yearly goals. Now, also talking about yearly goals, it doesn't mean like financial goal. Yearly goal, like you said, I'm celebrating my wife, another great year for the family, good relationship with your wife, with your parents, with your kid. Celebrate it. This is so important. Acknowledge that.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, my wife is better about that. She's trying to make milestones and stuff, but with all this COVID, it makes it difficult. But I'll admit, just yesterday, she was looking up flights to guess which country?
Which?
Israel.
She looking at flights to Israel?
Yeah, she really wants to go visit. She's rediscovered Judaism and has been studying the scripture and has weekly calls with rabbis, and she like chats with them. And we didn't, she nor I grew up.
Wow, this
She
is
nor I
great.
grew up Jewish. We both grew up Catholic, in fact. But it's really resonating well with her. So yeah. Anyways, that's a side story I could chat with you about later.
Right.
But
Well, tell her everyone if you're flying to Israel right now, you need to be in quarantine for 2 weeks, and they come and check you to make sure you're not moving from your room.
it's not worth traveling. Yeah, I had a friend that wanted to go to Chicago. Same thing there. They wanted you to
Right.
quarantine for 2 weeks. You can't get anything done, so it's not worth traveling at this point to places.
So here's the deal. Great. This is the AAA. Okay, we cannot travel to Israel.
Yep.
Okay, this is this first A. Okay,
Yep.
second A, assess. So what can we do as a family? Because we like to travel. Maybe you want to go to Arizona. Maybe you want to go to Northern California. It's about, because is it about looking at other countries, or it's mostly right now it's about the family being together and enjoying quality time together?
For sure. Right. Yeah. And that's what we do our weekends. And fortunately, we live in a great place where we can have as many staycations as possible and visit the zoo and the parks and the beach, and it's fine. Well, awesome. So Noah, summarize for me what you would call these 3 steps as part of your theory, that there are steps to improve your
3
life.
steps to success.
Okay.
You can call it 3 steps to empower your life.
Yeah. And I think that's more accurate, because it isn't just for business success. It's for overall quality of life success.
Yeah, and I have to share with you, I used to work with teenagers too. So what I'm sharing with you right now, I used to have a class called leadership class for teenagers in high school. So, and I coach executive. Everything I'm sharing with you right now, it's for everyone. And here is something else. Use that, even you have a little kids. These three CCs, you can, the two CCs, the AAA, the celebrate your success. Start with them when they are young. Start with them, and here's something that will surprise you. Kids get it faster than older people, because older people, see, try to teach it to your, I don't know, your mom, your sister. They're gonna say, oh no, oh, I don't believe it. Try to say, to work with your kids on that. They're like, oh, okay, dad. And immediately they'll come to you and say, dad, that was negative.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
no,
right. I mean,
I
they learn quickly and they're happy to implement immediately, right? Because they don't have anything else that's their baseline. So we're giving them their foundation, and if we can give a foundation like this, I could see how it'd be much more impactful than potentially how I was raised, which is like worry about everything, stress about everything, everyone's out to get you, yada yada yada, right?
Yeah, yeah. You want to
Yep.
motivate them. You want to inspire them. You know,
Right,
you don't want
and then
people to
also be able
get
to
your
win
feet.
life like in the driver's seat, right? You want to be in the driver's seat of life and not think that everyone's taking you for a ride or you're just along for the ride, that you're in charge of what's happening, right?
So I'll share with you people that you hear them complaining, 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 blaming, blaming, complaining. I usually tell them, you know what? You are in the trunk. They're not even the back seat. They're in the trunk. And the truth is, if you want to move them to the front seat to be the driver, it's a steps, because it's very hard for them to believe that there's nothing else beside blames. Now, I don't blame them, but I say it's the typical people that hard for them, and it comes out of fear, it comes out of, cultural things, it comes from trauma, it doesn't matter what. So if you hear the people like that, if you hear people and you have people around you, don't be upset at them. I'm saying as a general for you, for the audience, to say, understand, like if you have someone that, a blind person next to you, and you cannot tell them, you gotta see this, because they can't. So these people in the trunk, at that moment, they're still blind. They cannot see. That's their world. That's their belief. If
Yep.
you want to change their belief, you got to start taking them forward. So the first thing is move them to the back seat, right? And help them, and then to the front seat, and then let them drive.
Yep. That's great advice, Noah. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining me on the show
You're welcome.
and sharing your tips for success for overall life quality, I would say. So, Noah Schecter, thank you for joining me on yet another episode of I've Got a Theory. And I'd love to hear comments and questions back as they come through. So thank you, Noah.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. Thanks,
Appreciate
Henish.
it.
Bye.